Once again, I'm asking, are men okay? Like, seriously, are you guys all right? There has been an uprise in gooning, gooners. Interest in the term has skyrocketed 778% over the past 5 years. Gooner content is supposedly being pushed at maximum levels. People are spending way too much time in goon caves and goon nests, and there was even a goonicide. But what the fuck does this even mean? Somewhere between Kanye's porn addiction, the over-sexualization of women in video games, Instagram reel brain rot, and kinky men who like to push their body to extremes, we're going to define gooning and determine if its rise in popularity is a problem, and more importantly, what it has to say about our society.
Bitch, what I was trying to say is this situation got me so wet and so dry at the same time. Exactly.
What's up, bitches? Welcome back to another episode of So Wet, So Dry. I'm one of your hosts, Autumn. Like the season, I want the movie Burlesque to be my life story, and I work in entertainment.
And I'm your other host, Fiji, like the island, like the water. It is my birthday week, and I work in social media and marketing.
Everybody comment below, happy birthday, Fiji, right the fuck now. Your girl's gonna be 27, and bitch, I'm right behind you, okay? You're not gonna be there alone. Oh my God, don't even say that word.
We're gonna wrap up the episode as we always do, talking about what we're wet, dry, and still confused about the topic, so make sure you guys stay tuned until the end. But first, we're gonna start defining terms. We gotta start every episode defining the terms. And gooning / gooner, what do you know about this, Autumn? How would you define them?
Why did I know this was gonna fucking happen? Okay, I feel like from the little information that I do know about it, like it has a lot to do with like edging, and it's like specifically like a men thing. But that's really all I know. I've looked it up on like Urban Dictionary before.
Yes.
Because was curious, okay?
Yes.
But that's all I know. Like edging, it's like some horny, freaky shit. It's like some maybe like ascending shit. Like something, maybe it could be even a little spiritual from what I read on Urban Dictionary, maybe. So
yeah, kind of like you're reaching like a high.
Yeah, and you're like one with your dick.
Yes, and
okay.
It can be other genders. It doesn't just have to be men, but particularly the term gooning, like gooning culture is predominantly heterosexual and gay men. We will talk about one goonette later in the episode.
Okay.
But let's define the term. It is only on Urban Dictionary. And gooning can be defined as a state usually achieved after a prolonged edging session, when a man becomes completely hypnotized by the radiating feeling of his penis. Since a gooning state can only be achieved after edging, the man's dick will have become mightily aroused at this point, and every caress the male genitals are subject to will trigger potent elation. As the man keeps edging and thus keeps experiencing intense pleasure, he enters a state of trance where his mind intimately merges with his cock, the gooning state where he and his dick become one. To be even more accurate, when the gooning state is achieved, the man's body, for all intents and purposes, an appendage to his erection. When this state is achieved, the male becomes freed of social codes of conduct, and his arousal alone dictates his reactions. As a result, a gooned out man will become very expressive and demonstrative. He will become very vocal, while his body and face might take on undignified expressions and poses, all in response to the intensely exquisite caresses of his penis. Hence the term goon, since at this point, the man effectively looks like a silly, foolish, or eccentric person. Yeah, so we got some crazy facial expressions.
I can only imagine where the fuck this episode's gonna go. There's a lot going on here. Did I just hear correctly that we're talking about this orgasm, like freeing men of like patriarchy and shit?
Okay, like, yeah, that's taking it to a different level, but the high of things, yes.
Right.
It is, and I feel like that is why it is a very male thing. And this episode is centered around mostly men. And we're going to talk about porn addiction later, right? We're going to talk about Kanye, who's someone who seems to be above society and also a little bit manic, bipolar, spiritual psychosis going on sort of things. But there is a spiritual aspect to gooning where you're kind of transcending your body and you're reaching this state of arousal that's like incredible, and then you're just staying there constantly.
You never come back from the trip. Like
right,
when you
like
do
you
acid.
become like addicted to it, and people will go on gooning sessions for hours and hours
and edge.
'Cause
Ow!
to be like a real gooner, like you have to like continuously, goon. Like the kink is to be in that state for as long as possible. And we're going to get into the science of what that looks like.
Wow. Too. And if I'm sure we're going to get into it, but like we're talking masturbation and with partners, correct?
Mostly just masturbation by yourself. Watching a lot of porn though. And some people do gooning as porn, recording themselves for other people to watch them goon, sort of thing. But there are goon caves with like gay men. Like I ended up cutting it from this episode because there was too much, but there is a Reddit thread. A lot of the gooner Reddit threads have been since deleted, but there is like gay goon cave or something where it's like a bunch of men like gooning together. But we're not going to talk about that as much in this episode. We're mostly going to talk about like alone masturbation.
Like would two like dudes like get on like FaceTime and like goon together? Like that would be like a goon session.
Yeah, probably.
Could be. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay,
I'm locked and
going
loaded,
on, we have one more definition from Urban Dictionary that says, for males, the act of gooning is becoming completely self-absorbed with your penis and masturbation, such that your face and mannerisms take on the personality of a goon. Tongue out, vacant expressions, grunting, muttering. Men gooning often prefer hours of edging/erection to actual release orgasm, an artifact of modern times and plentiful porn.
Ooh.
So this vocal expression is a huge part of the gooning too, and the facial expressions. Yeah, they're like, we're gonna show some like B-roll videos of what these expressions look like.
Like this is like real. This isn't a joke. Like this is
real.
like a real thing.
The real
people
kink,
really like that.
Yes.
How did I not know this was happening? Does everyone know this is happening, or this is a niche topic, like you said?
So gooning as a kink itself is different than the Gen Z gooning term that's used a lot more casually. So we're going to get into that later in the episode. Right now, we're specifically talking about like the roots of gooning as a kink. This is what gooning like what really means.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about how it's become more popular in Gen Z times, and the term has kind of been twisted because like, yes,
classic.
I had heard gooning. Right. I had heard gooning in a different way and then did all this research, and this is what gooning actually is.
Right.
So we're going to work our way backwards.
I've never like heard of it, I don't think. But if I did kind of think it was like associated with like gay men.
Yes, gay men, but also like porn addicted men.
I'm seeing that, right.
Yes. Talking about the vocal expression, this is from Them magazine. Love them. And they said most identify gooning with a totally uninhibited vocal expression. A performer, writer, and sex worker tells them. A lot of gooners let primal feelings of pleasure take over and dumb down or get drunk on dick, taking off their human suit and just allowing their inner masturbator animal to come through. Gooning can be similar to edging in the sense that many gooners or people who goon often don't come. But unlike edging, which broadly refers to delaying an orgasm so it feels more intense, gooning is considered a kink specifically about loudly losing control during pleasure and masturbation, which is sometimes shortened to baiting.
Ooh,
like
I've heard of baiting.
Yeah.
I thought it was something else, like cooler.
I'm screaming. Gooners will masturbate for hours or even days on end, reaching meditative levels of sexual euphoria, often referred to as a goon state. It's also an entire genre of porn, with performers, adult websites, and Discord servers all dedicated to gooning content.
Bro,
and then it also
this is
talks about
sick.
semen retention. Yes. You know what's crazy though too? Okay, so the last guy that I like fucked with, I low-key think that he had been addicted to porn. And I will talk about like why when we get into like porn addiction and like da-da-da-da. Like I low-key think he was addicted to porn. But like whenever I would suck his dick, he would do this like moaning, like losing, like, and I thought it was really hot because I'm like, oh, like you're so turned
like
on that like you're like lost in it, like you're letting loose, like whatever.
Right.
And like his eyes roll back in his head, like that sort of situation. So I'm like, okay, like maybe I've gooned before. Like I've masturbated with the rose. And like, have you ever been like not able?
Rose? Ugh.
Like, but have you ever been like not able to orgasm and so you're stuck in this state?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. And it's like, it almost feels like you are the whole time. Like it really feels good, especially with the rose. Like after like, if I'm on like orgasm 3, it's like a weird feeling. But I was going to say like, not that it's related, but like it does remind me of like the tantric sex thing where like that type of sex will like ascend you and like it's really spiritual. And I think like we're probably going to uncover like there's a lot of things wet about this and a lot of things dry. And I think that like the whole like overarching theme of like Gen Z and TikTok like taking it and like making it something new. Cause like porn addiction, like we'll get into it. Like I do think it's like a problem. I do think porn can be hurtful. I'm not anti-porn by any means, like not even a little bit. Cause like sex workers need to work, but like I do feel like, you know, like at the end of the day, it's like men never really like let loose like as much. Like they're like so constrained by like masculinity and like as are women in other ways, but like it's different for them and like they don't. So it's like, yeah, like I'm trying to be nice. Like I think it's cool.
Like, you know that song where it's like, release your inhibitions, feel the rain on your... That's what it reminds me of. Like, you're like...
They're like...
releasing, gooning, like you're not a man anymore.
But, like, looking like a sloth with your tongue out is, like, not attractive.
Yeah, well, and that's where we're going to get into the dark side of things, too, where it's like, it is an addiction. And it's so closely related to porn because... so many men watch porn. Like, you don't have to watch porn to goon. You could just masturbate. But a lot of people do because, like, we'll talk about the science, but your threshold becomes an addiction. Your threshold becomes higher. You need to reach another level of pleasure.
Right. Like, I've been on, like, porn highs where, like, I couldn't, like, come without it. Yes. I'm not there right now in my life, thank Jesus, but I have been there. It's crazy.
Same. And same with me and masturbating in certain fantasies. Like, it has to get more violent, like, more fucked up, like, more,
Bitch, forget about it.
But okay, some more about gooning. This is some history from knowyourmeme.com, which I love that website. Obsessed.
Wait, you showed that to me recently.
Yes. Yeah, recently. Yeah. So they also refer to gooners as pornosexuals. So now you can start to see the porn kind of intersect coming in with gooners. And then it talks about goon caves, which is a subculture dedicated to masturbation rooms with multiple computer screens that all show pornography at the same time. So that's another big theme in gooners is that like they have like setups, like a goon cave setup with like they have their fleshlight situation.
And they're alone?
They have their different... Yes, or with people.
Okay.
It could be either. And we're going to read some stories from like real life people.
Okay.
But so it talks about the Reddit thread was created in 2019 and it had over 900,000 followers in just 4 years. And the Reddit thread would include a lot of like NFSW clips,
Not
like a lot of like
work.
Yeah, porn clips. And when I went onto the Goon Caves, the gay Goon Caves Reddit, I was trying to find the Reddit threads. Like, they're mostly deleted now. It's a lot of porn. Like, a lot of porn on there. And you guys can see, like, this is an emergency gooning kit that I found from knowyourmeme.com. Like, you see he's got his little, like, porn magazine. You've got Vaseline, Aquaphor. Is that a penis pump? I don't know what that is.
What?
Lube, fleshlight, earphones. private goon material collection. Yeah. And then there's some more gooning memes of like Insta baddies, which we're going to talk about Instagram and pushing gooning content a little bit later. But like these hot women, and it's like, keep gooning, like, because supposedly every time they see a hot woman, it's like a reminder to goon. And then we have some more memes, and I thought this tweet is funny. They said, I have saved $53,000 by claiming the home office tax deduction on my goon cave. Like they like real gooners will put
it's like
money into their like goon caves. Like this is a whole thing. So there's also gooning porn, which features a range of signature body displays that we kind of talked about, those facial expressions, and particularly women doing those facial expressions. You know, like women like cross-eyed, like anime type of vibes, like usually, or like Twitch streams, and they'll be slack-faced, squealing, or staring dead-eyed into monitors, playing porn in front of them as they pleasure themselves for hours on end. And then it was just asking, is this a true goon state, or are they literally gooning for the camera? Like, are they like faking it? Which a lot of them, like these sex workers, probably are. But that's like a different thing. Like people can be into gooning, and then people can be into gooning content where they like to see someone else get pleasure, kind of situation. But we asked you guys some polls.
I feel like I feel like it like hurts when you edge for that long, don't you?
Yeah, it has to.
I just feel like, ow. Like, is it like it's yeah, okay. Sorry. I was just like, I had that thought. But yes, we asked you guys, have you ever gooned before? And 63% said yes. 63% said yes. 37% said no. I'm shocked.
I think I have. I don't think I knew that that's what it was, but like I like to masturbate, and like for me it's not like that state for too long. It's just like I want another really good orgasm, and an orgasm that lasts longer. You know how there's levels to it?
Yeah, the fuck I do, bitch.
So sometimes I'll masturbate for a long time, like trying to get another orgasm, but I'll end up in that goon state.
Yeah.
You know?
I like don't like the goon state though. Like if I've ever been in it, because like the only thing I can think of is like, yeah, like when I've like, especially like sadsturbation, like and, like really like depression periods of my life, like where I was like masturbating a lot. Because then when I almost feel like when you're in that state, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like you can't come almost.
Well, like I'd rather be, because I was about to say like, when I like the feeling of after you come and you're like, whatever. But when you're sadsturbing, it's almost like cry. You come and then you're down again.
I know.
So I'd rather be in the goon state of like, you know.
You're right. You're so right. Yeah, because also when you're sadsturbing, it's like, I like don't even want to come because I know then it's going to be over. So you will kind of edge,
exactly. Yeah. And then you lose the dopamine.
Yeah. And then we asked you guys, do you enjoy edging? And 82% said yes, 18% said no. I definitely do. I feel like I've done it before, but it hasn't been like the most consistent thing that I've like done with partners. Like when it comes to like what I like I feel like, and there's like levels to it, you know, like, cause there's literally when I think of edging, I'm like gonna cry. I want you to like fuck me so bad, and you like won't. And I'm like, that's like really
like you're
fucking
teasing
hot.
them like so bad, like you want it so bad, like that like beg for it shit. Yes.
And they like just won't give it to you. And then when you find, like, I feel like sometimes when I'm in that state, like I could cry. Like that's how bad I want it.
You're just like, But then, no, I feel like I come because I, like, that idea of wanting it so bad, like, I just end up coming.
Yeah.
But I think so edging and gooning are different, because edging is more like you can do it with a partner. Well, I guess you can goon with a partner, too, if they keep you in that state. Like, if you go beyond edging and you end up in gooning, is that like a level up? It kind of, right?
I think it is a level up 100%. I think because there's levels to edging, and like gooning's definitely like top level edging, I feel like.
Yeah.
Where, because like
so
sometimes
you could
edging
do it with
it's
a
like,
partner.
Yeah, and you could edge you could edge or goon by yourself too. Like I edge myself all the time when I I don't give it to myself right away.
I can't masturbate without edging myself.
Oh
like,
my God,
I have
no.
to warm it up. Imagine just putting the vibrator on
Bro,
the
with the
setting on
rose,
your
it could
clit.
take 40 seconds.
Yes.
No, like the rose is crazy. Like
no,
I've
the
been
first
using
time
it
I
recently.
ever used it, it like
I know,
scared
you
me.
didn't like
it.
it.
Was too much. I had to like ease into it. Like it was
I know.
too much sensation.
The suction is insane. You
Yeah,
guys.
no. Sometimes it hurts. Like
I-
that's what
I
I'm saying.
know.
Like, because that's all I use to masturbate lately. Like I need to get one that has like the little hook situation in the top. Like that's like the thing that I want.
Yeah.
But just thinking about doing that for an extended period of time, like the
Ow.
times that I have,
It hurts. Very sensitive. But also like I know that this is not all about like dick, but like is it different for them? Like I don't know.
Yes, because the friction.
Right. Right.
You know, like you can only use so much lube or like lotion or whatever before it's gonna dry you out.
Ow.
You
Because
know
I've
what I'm
masturbated
saying?
so hard, it's like I hurt my pussy. Like
Yes,
I rubbed it
same.
too hard.
Rubbed it too much. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
it's like raw.
Yeah, dead ass. And it's like, fuck, what did I do?
Like,
Yes.
ow, like pulsing. Yeah. So we defined gooning. Now we're going to meet some of the gooners, the hardcore gooners.
So the first gooner we're going to talk about is Chad. And he's a 33-year-old. He's Hawaiian, and he goons for about 3 to 4 hours a day. He's a virgin, not by choice, but because of constant rejection and mental health issues. It's giving incel in that sentence. Gooning is my only form of sex, he says, and he's devoted to it with a lifetime membership to Pornhub, and he's spent thousands of dollars on sex toys. It is a social activity for him. He says you'll meet a goon bud and watch porn together and chat gooning. It's like meme culture. You have all these little gifts, except it's hardcore porn. Gooning is a meditative act that allows me to connect to the world through sexual energy. It's made me feel so much more comfortable with myself. He hides his gooning from nearly everyone in real life. However, and fears he'd be fired from his job if he was ever found out. Chad flies frequently for his corporate job. When he does, he brings his gear along with him.
Can I pause you real quick? 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I just feel like whenever men say something like this, like you're never gonna be fired for that shit. Like women will be fired for being a sex worker, like a stripper, like whatever. Men are not gonna be fired for having a gooning addiction. I don't know. I know.
I don't think
not
so
that it's
either.
not that it's not a real anxiety or like whatever. Like it's an addiction, and he obviously feels the type of way about that.
Right.
I just I think we need to put things into perspectives in terms of sexism. And I feel like men have way less to worry about in terms of getting fired when it comes to sex-related activities.
I think it's more like you would have embarrassment around other men for it and feel shame because of like how masculinity is. But I agree, like the systemic impact of being fired maybe shouldn't be the top concern. I mean, he's Hawaiian, like like I don't know, like, but it's just like, I agree. I read that and I was like, it just reminded me of like OnlyFans sex creators, like, and that's like real because you see in the news all the time that they actually do get fired.
Right.
So yes, thank you for pointing that out. I completely agree. And it's also just giving like incel turns to gooning. Like, I don't know. And also like,
but he doesn't seem violent. Like it'd be one thing if he was predatory and he was trying to hide this because like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's something to be fired
like
for.
If you have like
gooning or having this kink, like in the same way that I feel like a guy with findom as a kink wouldn't be fired.
Like being a cash pig. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also like the part I'm a little bit confused about too. It's like, it's a social activity for him. He's like, you get goon buds, you go on like chat rooms. It's like, but they're not turned on by each other. It's like a solo experience and they're bonding over it, or it's like gay.
Is it? I feel like it's gay, but like you know how like frat guys are and stuff like that. Like I don't know. Like they love to act like something's not gay because like they bond over women and like porn and like sex, but then it's like it's not gay. I don't know. It seems gay though.
It's kind of similar to when we talked about and saw those videos of those young college boys with their feet, and they're like, "This is so good." Like, okay, I got it. All right, guys, we're back in. Okay, so with Chad's gear, it says this includes everything from a clear fleshlight for easy cleaning to a stash of vintage porn to a battery-powered projector small enough to fit into his backpack. The projector allows him to display 100 times 100 size porn clips he's downloaded to the SD card. He tries to avoid streaming porn on his business Johns for 2 reasons. Hotel Wi-Fi sucks, and he doesn't want evidence on a public Wi-Fi network. All right, buddy, calm down. He prefers Hilton hotels because they're all
But that is something you could get fired for if you had porn on your company.
Yeah, you're right.
Computer.
Yeah.
You could, yeah.
Yeah, that's risky for sure. He prefers Hilton hotels because they're all over Hawaii, have a decent room layout with pretty good TVs, and they remind him of Paris Hilton.
In a horny way?
Right. He says it's almost a ritual, talking about when he gets the hotel. He places his laptop on the bed, the projector on the foot of the bed, and his tablet on the side table. He says, in an ideal situation, there's a good-sized TV, nice blank wall, and I just took a shower. My fleshlight is hooked up to the heating rod. My dinner is ready, porn on the hotel TV, and I have magazines, one next to me and one in the bathroom. It's giving sad. It's not sad. I'm not kink shaming, but like, damn, like it's like a whole fucking.
It's a hobby. Like this is like a hobby, like a pastime. Like you're setting up.
Like okay.
everything.
So it's like, why do we fuck? Right? It's like sex can be like a job. Like sex can be a hobby too. I guess. Like it is kind of a hobby.
Masturbation, I guess. Yeah, entertainment.
I would never define
it's almost
masturbation.
Like, it reminds me of like, say like a guy that's really into sports, right? Like he takes watching the game super seriously. He has his sliders and his popcorn and his jersey on and his lucky
chips,
bandana. Like that's what this is. But masturbation, like you have your fleshlight, and
it reminds me of like setting up like to do like a spell or something like on some witchy shit. Like you have everything there, or even just like a self-care night with your face mask. Like I don't know, like it's giving like you're putting a lot of energy into this, and it's clear. And I'm clocking it. It says he recently bought a 60-pound No, Fiji. No, dude. He recently bought a 60-pound torso doll that has an accompanying flight case. Okay, I don't want to shame anyone. I know the sex dolls are like a thing. It just reminds me of that Broad City episode.
Even the fleshlights, though, that's like the fake pussy.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Why did I think it was like a flashlight, bro?
No, a dude has sent me a video of him like fucking a fleshlight before. Yeah.
No shame. I need to control my facial expressions. It says he hasn't tried to bring it on board yet. While airport security has been nonchalant when they've searched his bag and found his loops and sex toys, the doll might cause more of a stir. While Chad goons at home and away, some guys only goon on the road. Chad says the idea of getting a hotel room just to goon was particularly exciting. I use hotel gooning as a little vacation from the stress of everyday life, okay? To just relax and turn off my brain for a bit. But should this be your self-care? Okay.
I think this is a different guy, actually. I think this is a different guy. I cut out part of the article.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So different guy. Either way, though. He brings weed and drinks along with his supplies. He spends time eyeing the hotel room layouts beforehand because he says, while gooning, I tend to move from the bed to the couch to the restroom, then back to the bed, then repeat. All right. We're switching it up. After he arrives, he prepares the living area and bathroom for gooning. He spends 30 to 40 minutes plastering the bathroom wall with porn bags, like busty beauties. He's like creating a vision board. Bro. But it's also like giving serial killer with porn on the wall. Like that's kind of weird.
But to me, it's kind of like wholesome creative. Like,
no, it is.
Okay,
There's
you're decorating the walls.
No, for real. I see it that way too. The bathroom becomes a celebration of the female form. Okay. Yes. That's lit. with areolas and labias. Oh my God.
Okay.
That should be like a thing. Covering every inch. If the bathroom has a shower curtain, he projects videos onto it. If not, he covers the glass door with more spread-eagled stars. That means like spread open with your
Like,
pussy,
woo!
right?
Yeah.
Spread
Pussy
eagle,
out.
bitch.
Put his pussy to the sky.
In the main room, he has porn movies projected onto the wall and ceiling, videos on the TV, and mags covering the bed. While gooning has been stereotyped as a male activity, there is a subset of female goonettes who are just as committed to their male counterparts. Let's fucking go! I'm so excited for the goonettes. I know I'm jumping the gun, but that picture is hot as fuck. I want a picture of me like that.
Catherine. This is Catherine Duffy. She's 35. She loves to
8.
goon on her European travel. So she's like a gooning sex worker. It talks more about like her gooning activities, but they were really similar to the guys. Just lots of different vibrators, butt plugs, all this different stuff. Like she was really big into anal situations.
Damn,
But she
I know
began
you
gooning.
like love anal, right?
I
babe?
would rather die than do anal. The most I can take is a little thumb pressure and then leave my asshole
Bro, a
alone.
thumb is crazy. I
Like
love
just the
thumb.
pressure.
No,
just
why
like a
does it
press.
feel good?
It
Okay.
feels so good because it tightens your pussy walls. I swear. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, but Duffy began gooning as a teenager in Belfast after finding a box of discarded porn magazines. It wasn't until after she graduated from university and traveled for work that it became more intense. She has gooned in hotels across the UK and Europe, and she was able to explore porn far deeper and began growing completely obsessed with it. And then it goes on to talk about the different toys she uses, etc. But gooning has become not only a hobby, see, they're calling it a hobby,
Right.
but also a business. She runs her own website, Whore Euro, where she offers a community space of uninhibited perversion. She also posts about her gooner parties that she rents Airbnbs out for. They tend to start with everyone watching porn and mutually masturbating before descending into a free-for-all, she says.
Bro!
Like, kind of hot,
like a party.
right?
I
Like
would
a
love
sex
to do
party.
that once
Right? Like
before
a
I die
gooning,
for
like,
sure.
party. I'd be more down for, like, to start, like, a sex party, like a masturbation party before you just go into, like, everybody
Like
on each other.
fucking
Like,
each other. No.
right. Like,
No,
ease
because
into it.
honestly, yeah. And like, I even think like, because we've talked about like going to sex parties, whatever, together. Because I would love to go with you and we just go into different rooms or like something.
Yes.
Because like, I like need you. I feel like that would
Yes.
be, I would be fucking terrified.
You're like
honestly.
the only friend that I would be comfortable with.
same.
And I feel like it's because
Same.
we've been strippers
Duh.
and like we fucked next to each other.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Recently.
Recently.
No, like we're way too comfortable, like for sure.
Yeah.
In a good way though, because of those experiences, I think. And I agree, I could not do that with any other friend. Like that would just be fucking weird. But what was I gonna say? Oh, like I think to ease into a sex party, it's like we could just go and like do it to ourselves, like kind of in the corner. Like no one look at me,
Yes.
like type shit.
Chill.
And-
like,
Yeah, and just like do it like by yourself, but like watching as an experience. But yeah, it's like the hobby thing is like I'm trying to like get my mind around it because I do think like while I think like kink and like porn is like I'm not anti-kink or anti-porn, obviously.
Duh.
But I do think society's gotten into my head a little bit where it's like being like watching porn all their time or like using like masturbation as like a hobby and like your only stress release time, like because that's what it kind of sounds like with the male gooners, you know. But
yeah,
with
the
her,
only, yes. The
Yeah,
only
like-
stress relief time.
that's not like I don't think that's healthy or good. I don't know,
Yeah.
but maybe I'm wrong. And like I like the part about it like making money and like Whore Euro like turning it into a business, like that part I'm like crystal clear. I'm like, yes.
Right.
But the hobby, I'm a little like, sex a like I think sex masturbation, gooning is like something we like to do, but like for some reason calling it a hobby like isn't sitting right with me. Like I don't know.
But isn't that like, I would argue
Please
that that's
argue.
a little bit capitalistic, right? Because we can see ourselves
Probably.
making money off of sex.
Yeah.
And we can see it being for like love or pleasure. But like if it's too much pleasure by yourself as a hobby,
right.
then it's bad.
I think it goes into my complicated relationship with sex too.
Yeah.
Because part of me feels like the strip club was a job, but it also kind of was a hobby. Like, I don't know.
Well, right.
Because I was
it's
like,
probably both.
right. Yeah. So maybe that's it. But like, I like want to get to a place where I can see sex as a hobby. Like, I just think like defining sex is like so crazy. And like every time we do a new episode where we're like sex as this, it like takes a second to like wrap your brain about it. And I just like want everyone to be okay. But like, I guess like they, you know, you could be happy living like this.
Well, yeah, because I feel like it's as a hobby and also as entertainment. And like, I felt like that. Like, I definitely masturbate on some sadsturbation type shit. Like, not as a hobby, but as like stress relief to make myself feel better. Like when I'm bored, like, you know what I'm saying? But like, I guess it's just the idea of like putting so much more time into it and buying like knickknacks to like feed it in the way that we do for like podcasting or something like that. Like, that's where it kind of feels like it's crossing a line. But if you were doing that with a partner, it wouldn't be as weird, right? Like if you were doing BDSM and you were buying handcuffs and all this stuff.
And we always talk, like we've talked a little bit about like intentional sex versus like disassociative or like self-harm sex or like whatever. Yeah. Like this is very intentional. Like you have supplies, you have a plan, you have a location, you have different setups in each room. Like this is like serious and I fuck with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. This is crazy.
So those were the gooners, guys. And as you can see, we're developing some empathy for them. We're understanding them more. But there's this whole other side of gooning and what the term has come to mean that is way more aligned with porn addiction, which we already kind of started talking about. Like, how do we feel about this? And gooner, as defined on Urban Dictionary, one of the other definitions is one who is completely and miserably addicted to porn but embraces it and loves it. For example, I watch porn all day. I think I'm becoming a gooner. So there is the negative connotation with being a gooner that you do become addicted. But we want to have justice and empathy for part of this kink and what it really means. Like anything, if you go too far off the hobby ledge, too far into addiction, you become addicted and you deal with the negative aspects of that said addiction, which is why gooning and gooners have also developed this connotation. So in talking about porn addiction, we've talked about this a little bit in past episodes. I'd love to do an episode completely just about porn addiction at some point because they are separate. But because porn addiction is so closely related to gooning. Because gooners use a lot of porn to masturbate, right? Some of the negative side effects of being porn addicted are, you know, the inability to get hard, erectile dysfunction, inability to like get aroused, porn dependency, unrealistic expectations of sex sessions and relationships. And this is huge. Like someone like Chad, who's a virgin still, never has had sex. Will he ever have sex with someone in person, or will he just stay in this masturbation stay with masturbation as a hobby because, you know, he's afraid to, or his expectations are unrealistic, or he doesn't know how to get hard or enjoy it outside of like what he's doing with his partner. Exactly. And then also, you know, of course, the other side effects of addiction that come with just poor mental health, like depression, mania, even spending a lot of money, all of that stuff. And then this article also says relying heavily on pornography can desensitize the individual to real sexual encounters, increasing the risk of erectile dysfunction when engaging in sex with a partner. Dr. Vinny said this is due to gooners essentially mentally training themselves to only become aroused while viewing pornography. Quote, a man can find he needs pornography to get aroused rather than on the presence and touch of his partner. Difficulties with erections and sexual performance can then lead to performance anxiety, making the sexual issues more embedded. Dr. Paula Hall from the not-for-profit online therapy program, Pivotal Recovery, and who has worked on pornography addiction, says gooning could potentially be harmful depending on how often someone partakes and for what reasons. While she said it was probably fine when performed as an occasional treat, she added, like with any behavior, when taken to an extreme, it could be a sign of problems. It is no different than occasionally binge watching a box set, she said, but doing it 5 or 6 hours every day of the week is unlikely to be beneficial.
I just think, like, we talk about porn addiction and, like, when we talk about addiction as a whole, like, there's, like, drug addictions, like, sex addictions, like, fucking, like, OCD. Like, there's so many different types of addictions, and I feel like porn addiction is the hardest to, like, figure out and talk about because of how society looks at sex. Because you have this other – anyone, when you watch porn for the first time, you have some shame because you're like, this is, like, bad, or like, was anyone harmed in this video? Like, I think that all the time.
Do
like
men?
Right. But like, yeah, I know that's just on being women. We're always like, is everyone good?
Like, is she really? I'm like, is she really enjoying it?
I like really hope. I pretend she is because I can't watch it otherwise.
I know.
And so I think, like, when you already have that, like, underlying shame, and I think people, like, really just, like, shame each other for it too, like, just, like, what type of porn you watch, and, like, I don't know. And so I think, like, porn addiction and, like, sex, like, any type, because, like, porn addiction falls under the sex addiction, and, like, even if you're, like, addicted to gooning, like, that's essentially addicted to both at the same time. And I just think it should be talked about differently than, like, alcoholics and, like, things like that. I just think, like, we all grow up in the world where, like, there's no education about sex, there's no education about porn, and it's like, I do think it's, like, a big problem. And, like, I've been someone that, like, I don't think I had a sex addiction, but I definitely used sex as self-harm and was, like, addicted to that, like, in a way. Yeah. Like, not even just in the strip club. Like, that time period where I was, like, fucking all those girls. Like, I don't think I really, really wanted to do all that. Yeah. In a weird way. But, like, I don't know. Like, I do. And, like, the part about the mental health is so real. And, like, also the part about, like, with any behavior, when it's going to be taken to extremes, like, it's going to be. And, like, even the fact that I'm just, like, picturing, like, Chad, like, alone in a hotel room, like, gooning with his whole setup, and, like, it does make me feel sad. I'm like, oh, he's, like, alone, and he's, like, addicted to, like, porn, which, like, can be, like, very toxic, but it also, like, needs to exist. I believe it does, because, like, I'm so passionate about, like, sex work, and, like, that being like, I don't think there's anything wrong with, like, wanting to be in porn. But I do think, like, it is really addictive, but just, like, fucking everything. Like, so I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I feel you, because I don't think porn, masturbation, sex, any of those are, like, net negative. Like, it's their fault. Like, they're bad. And I don't think gooning in general is bad. Like, it's just a kink. It's just a different type of, like, way to reach orgasm, like, whatever type of state, like, whatever. And even someone like Chad, who has his setup and likes to do all of that stuff, like, I think that is fine. But, like, anything, like, with addiction, if you push it too far, then it's too far. And maybe for Chad, it is close to too far because it's affecting his other relationships and, like, everything like that. Like, it's not, maybe you're not, and that's why I'm like, if you're a gooner, does that mean that you are porn addicted? Because if you enjoy gooning, that's different than being a gooner. And maybe a gooner is someone who has gone to, like, the extreme level. But you can't blame the sex workers. You can't blame the sex itself, because that'd be like blaming, like, I'm a bartender. You can't blame me for your alcoholism. Like, if you come to the bar, I have to serve you. I can't overserve you. But it's a legal thing. And, like, as you were saying, like, we grow up not learning about sex. Like, I think it's that thing where it's like, same with drinking in America. Like, people in Europe, I remember when I was over there with my mom's, like, friend and whatever, they're talking about how they learn how to drink with their family at, like, 18. And because of that, they don't develop alcoholism and like addictions to alcohol,
or like
because
end
they
up in the
learn
hospital. Yeah.
right, because they learn how to do it like tastefully, versus America, it's like so taboo. No. So we go to the extreme.
You go crazy.
And I think it's the same with sex. Like I know
Yeah.
for me, like sex is so taboo, So like I'm gonna go to the fucking extreme, and did.
You're
so
right.
I think it's like, you know, we're not taught. I mean, it sounds insane. It
People
sounds
learn
radical
from
as fuck.
porn.
Right. It sounds insane to be like, oh, we need to be taught how to masturbate. But it's not like you're going to be in a class and your teacher's like, oh, touch yourself like this. But we should be having conversations about like what's normal and what's not. Like how much masturbation, what should you be relying on masturbation for? What should you not? Just like how much screen time is too much on your phone? How much porn time is like too much? Like,
and just like defining what it is. Like, yeah, masturbation, you touch yourself. Like, that's not what I mean. But like, why do people masturbate? Like when...
yes.
Like, and it's like, when should you, or like when you're feeling this way, or like whatever, and like that's like normal, because like a lot of people like masturbate. Like I remember like my first partner and like a lot of friends I had, like they masturbated for the first time like really, really young, and I did it for the first time when I was 18
like
years old.
way older. Yeah, same.
Like I was old. Like I definitely had like maybe like humped some things like weirdly, but like never like full on. Like it was just like a quick, and I was like, ooh, that felt kind of good. Like,
right.
You know, and I was like, what is that? But
like, ooh.
So I don't know. Yeah, I think we need like so much more education, but I don't know. I'm really focused on like, and like right now, like I just feel like kind of like empathy, like really hard, because I know, like guys, I know, but like when we talk about incels, and like not ones that are like violent towards women or like horrible people, like just the idea of like boy culture and like growing up and like thinking porn is everything, and like always being rejected by women, and like right now everyone's hating on men, like I do kind of feel bad. Like,
yes.
But I don't want to look at gooning as like, oh, they're sad and that's why they're doing this. Like, and that's the other thing within school. It's like, is masturbation like something like can it be like a hobby? Like, why do people want to have sex? Like, they never taught us that. Like, just when you love someone, no, that's not the only reason.
It's for so much more, just like in our Why Do We Fuck episode. So real quick, before we move on to the next section, we did have some listener stories about masturbation and porn addiction. So we're just going to go back and forth. The first one is, masturbation is healthy, porn isn't. I feel people should use books, their brain, or pictures, which is also pornography, but...
Right. Like I get what they're trying to say here for sure. I don't think it's like healthy to look at it as that black and white, to say porn isn't healthy. I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
But I do understand like what they're saying. Like there should be a balance, I do think, because of like what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And someone else said, better to love yourself rather than seek it from others at times. Okay, true. Yeah, like for sure. I put that on a t-shirt. Like, yeah.
Yes. Someone said, stop it, my opinion. I don't know if that means stop porn addiction or stop I don't know what that means, but next.
Someone said, not watching porn is hard and masturbating is like a must or I'll die. And that's so real. And we really appreciate that honesty. Because it is like, porn is like meant to be addicting. Like it's like, yeah, like it just is just like weed or drugs or anything. Like it
or
just
alcohol or cigarettes or
it just is addicting. And it's also just like so taboo, and like you feel guilty about it. So it's like you have to you want to do things that you feel like you shouldn't. So like there's a level to that as well. Like I remember looking up lesbian lap dance when I was 12 years old on YouTube. And it was so hot, but I felt so dirty afterwards. And they were literally just like
dancing.
So yeah. But that's so real, and we really appreciate that honesty, because yeah, bitch, we feel you.
Yep. Someone said it feels good, but it's bad. Again, with the shame,
it hurts,
it's not
so
bad.
Good.
It hurts good. Like the shame, like masturbating is not inherently bad, but I know society makes us feel that way.
Right. It's so wet, but it's dry type
Dry
shit.
as fuck. Yep.
Someone said, I feel like if more people masturbated, they wouldn't be so uptight. And like,
real.
Yeah, like
they're bust one out.
Right. That's how I feel. Like if Republicans just like smoked weed or something, like it's not that simple, unfortunately, but it feels like that sometimes. Like just chill the fuck out.
Right. Take a deep breath. And the last one, someone said it gets lame by yourself after a while. And that is fucking
I'm like,
real.
I don't want my hand anymore. I want yours.
I need a human. Like you
Right.
get into your same routine and you're like,
and
this
I'm
is
like,
just not enough.
I'm over it.
Which is
Yeah.
why you need to up the ante. And
Right.
Yeah.
And if you guys like what you are listening to, please make sure that you subscribe and or follow depending on the platform. Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify or Apple. You can also rate us in those places. It would mean so much to us. And follow us on Instagram at So What So Dry. The O's are always zeros because we post weekly polls for upcoming episodes. And we would love to have your input in the episode. So make sure you're following us there.
Let's get into gooning science. This is going to be really quick, guys. So there is this YouTube channel called Healthy Gamer GG, and it is Dr. K. He is a psychiatrist, licensed psychiatrist, and also former monk. Love his channel. He gives like a lot of like wholesome, like good advice, like mental health stuff to gamers and kind of like incels. Like honestly, like great guy. I've watched like one of his other videos before when I was looking at incel content, but he has a video called We Have to Talk About Gooning. And he talks about like gooners being known as the serial masturbator, like kind of this sadness and melancholy like around them and the history of masturbating and like what that has been depicted as in history. Nice. And then he goes on to...
I need to watch this.
Right. He goes on to talk about the science of it. So like I'm going to put these graphics on the screen. Kind of hard to explain, but essentially like this little thing is rising, right? Like this is the pleasure that is rising, and everything under it is the pleasure that you experience. Okay. So this is like the activity rising or what you're doing, like and below is the pleasure. So it's like the threshold. And so essentially like if you keep doing this enough, like your threshold raises and you need more to get you to the pleasure
more
state.
Activity.
Right. And that's like with anything, like alcohol, drugs, like sex, like orgasm.
Like how to get the high when you're like, it's your tolerance. Yeah. Your body, like our bodies are crazy. Like we give it what we give it and it responds accordingly.
Yes, exactly. And so like this is like how you were saying, like it's the same as any other addiction in a lot of ways. We're going to get into the societal parts of things a little bit later when we talk about like young boys and like Gen Z and all of that. But like essentially that's just how the addiction works, the climax, etc. Okay, so next we're going to get into how gooning has hit mainstream with Gen Z. And this is when we start to see the meaning of the word shift even more. So we already saw it shift from this kink about edging and this like spiritual moment of climax that you're kind of staying at to like porn addiction, a little bit more negative, right? If you go to extreme. Right. Now we have a different type of gooning that almost involves like horniness, right? Like someone is described as a gooner if they are too horny. Okay. So we get this situation with a goonicide, okay? So essentially, I'm just going to summarize, guys. I'll put some of the articles on the screen. You might have heard about this. Twitter was up in arms because there was a man that drove through the Bikini Beans coffee drive-thru in Tempe, Arizona without wearing pants. So this is, the Bikini Bean is like, they're like sexy like coffee shop workers and you can go through the drive-thru and stuff like that. And he went through the drive-thru like dick out. And obviously like this wasn't his first time doing that because like one of the workers, she was recording him and she was like, excuse me, sir, like what are you doing? You're disgusting, like whatever. And then he like drove away and the video went viral. And then this man. Because
that's like a crime, right?
Yes. And then this man killed himself. Yeah, after the video had gone viral, he left a suicide note and was talking about he was a father, he was a husband, and he was like, oh, like, I'm, like, so embarrassed, like, whatever. So everyone...
What the fuck?
Yeah, so everyone on... It's not funny. And then Bikini Beans, like, issued a statement. They were like, our thoughts and prayers are with the family of the individual involved in this difficult time. This was an unfortunate and tragic situation. As a company, the safety of our employees is always our top priority. In this case, an individual chose to commit a crime at one of our locations. We take incidents like this very seriously and remain committed to protecting our team and maintaining a safe and respectful environment. And then essentially there was like even they called him like a goon lord, and there was a goon roll, like a funeral that was held for him that lasted a whole 20 minutes before the police shut it down. Like very typical Gen Z, like making fun of things. But what do you think about this entire situation? Because to me, I don't think he's a gooner. I think he's a sex predator because I don't know what part of that situation is gooning.
I agree. I think like this man like definitely committed a crime. The only thing I'm thinking of is like, oh, like gooning addiction, like sex addiction, like maybe it's like, you know, feel sorry. Like people feel, I'm not saying I feel this way, but like people feel sorry for him, like held a gooner where it's like, you know, he was just doing what he knows how to do. Like, I don't get how it has to do with gooning either. Right. I think it's like maybe taking on that Gen Z way of just being like he was really horny, so like his dick was out or whatever. But yeah. I think that what he did is like not okay and like probably scarred people for life. And like, yes, it's like horrible that he committed suicide, but I believe that like people that commit suicide, I don't think it's one singular event. I think like your mental health has to be extremely low for that to happen. Yeah. So I don't think the two things should be correlated maybe as much as they have. I mean, obviously it happened right after. So it's like giving like last
But the
straws.
behavior in itself is not normal behavior.
Okay. It's not okay. Like he needed to like honestly like go away, like go to a facility and like get help because that's like because that's also a very high sign of like being in a manic episode or having like a psychotic break or something like that, like over sexual, like exposing yourself, like being predatory, like that. So it's like exactly like there could be events leading up to him doing that. Yeah. And it's like I do also think like maybe porn addiction, gooning addiction can make you like lose sight of like what's acceptable and what's not. But like I don't know how we got there. I think he might have mentioned porn addiction or something like that in his suicide letter. Again, like I'm not really sure, guys. I don't want to talk about this like too much. Right. But my whole takeaway from it is that Gen Z is doing too much by calling him a gooner when he's really a sex predator and a mentally ill person. And I think that it honestly is hurtful to the gooning community. That's kind of where I sit at it. Right, because that's right. The gooning community are not sex predators. You know what I mean? It's like Chad in his hotel room, you know, by himself, not hurting anyone. Like, besides maybe himself. You know? So it's like, yeah, this is completely different. I think that's fucking crazy. And I think like, obviously it's really tragic. And like, I think that business ate, like they're like our thoughts and prayers. But like at the end of the day, like this was like a serious fucking offense. And like some girl clocked into work that day and like that happened. Like that's not fucking okay. Like that's like harassment and like assault of the eyes. Like it really fucking is. Yes, like I didn't consent to see that, you know? Yeah. And people can say, oh, well, why post it? Why'd she have to post it? But it's like, I feel like it's such a big thing as sex workers for people to think that like you can't be harassed or you can't be like have a sex crime committed against you because of the work that you do. Of course. When that very much is, and the protections like of one awareness around that, but also like holding law enforcement accountable. Right. You know what I'm saying? And it is very unfortunate that this man lost his life and like killed himself and everything like that. But it's like also think about all the times where it's like, you know, it's the other person committing the sex crime that gets away with it completely fine. And it is the woman and the sex worker that has to live with like a life of trauma or abuse or gets, you know, all of that stuff. 100%. So it's like this one situation has like gone very viral and is attached to this word, which I think is so interesting. Like it's come to mean horny. That's not what we know gooning to be right now. Right. It's not. Yeah. It's not. But okay, moving on. We asked you guys, since we're all concerned about what the fuck the word gooning means. Do you know what gooning means? And 49%, 49% of you guys said yes. 30% said no. And 21% said kind of. So everybody is kind of like, I don't know. I think I said kind of. Yeah. Or maybe I said yes because at this point, like I do. But going into this, I thought I was going to do an episode which we're going to get into, Instagram pushing gooner content. That's what I thought the entire episode was going to be. And then I took a sharp turn when I learned about the kink and everything else. So Right, because you like that's not like what's being like on social media is like what it actually is. So you were like, wait a second, like that makes complete sense. And I feel like the past episodes that we've done lately, it's like everyone defines things like differently, which is fine. But I think like, yeah, the gooning community, like they're probably like, what the fuck?
Right, because they're not sex predators. But this other article, or this same article actually from them that we talked about earlier, talks a little bit more about this meaning of the word changing. They said because gooning ostensibly means losing yourself or doing a performance of losing yourself in pleasure while you masturbate, the term can be used more generally in a colloquial way to describe being overly excited or rabid about anything. You're excited about something? No, you're absolutely gooning over it. They're exaggerating the way they act, right? No, they're gooning. You're gagged. You're actually gooning. Millennials have used it to be like, oh, I'm gagging for that, which I sign off on as proper use, Marx tells them. So they're kind of talking about how these terms are being pulled from like queer and like BDSM, like sex culture, like gagging, like gagged, like, oh my God, I'm gagged. Like that is a term from like sex. Like you're gagging someone, like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that goes on to say, because the performance of gooning itself can be absurd, younger generations like Gen Z and Gen Alpha have embraced its comedic implications. If someone is being dramatic, they're gooning. Gooning is a fucking dumb word and a dumb kink, Mark says, of the current cultural sentiment around the slang. A lot of Gen Z send-ups of gooning have very sharply noticed that. They're all being fictitious with their brain rot memes and TikToks. Gooning this, Sigma that, skibbity this. They're very intelligently aware of the absurdity of all of this discourse and language use. So, yeah, I mean, it's very like, I forget what episode it was where we talked. Oh, it was the one where we talked about ethyl cane and sincerity and whatever, like irony, meta-ness, meta-irony, irony, all of this. Nothing means everything. Everything means nothing. We're just saying words. That is what gooning has developed into as well. And it makes sense that like we'll take a word like cunt, which is a woman's literal pussy, then became an insult, and now it's like, oh, your outfit is cunt, like that's cunt, like it's giving cunt. Like you're giving like,
I taught my mom that recently, and she said it the other day, and I was like, okay,
right,
Mom.
okay, yes. Like words change and words can be manipulated, but it just is a little bit sad to me that we're equating like sex predator with like gooner to an degree, even though I guess you could argue in that act he did lose himself in a sexual, like, you know what I'm saying? It works. Kind of.
But it's like, yeah, because sex predators lose themselves because like what you're doing is not good. And like, you're not like, I do believe everyone's born like with a good soul and, you know, nobody's broken. Like something has to happen or I don't know. But like, yeah, I think it's, again, like just such a common theme. Like TikTok will really fucking like take over, and Gen Z specifically, it seems like, and just like, and like that's why it's like a language episode would be so interesting because like words
I need to do that one.
But it's a big topic, like because words are like constantly like changing, and like it has everything to do with like where we're at in the culture too. And like you think about like gooning like being associated with like really horny or like hypersexual within like the celibacy age, and like Handmaid's Tale like becoming a reality, like I don't know, it's crazy.
Well, even that, when I was reading that book, because like I did want to do an episode, guys, about like the word like and how we use it so often in women in language. Yeah, and this girl, she's a not speech pathologist, what is it, an etymologist, what is the person, etymologist, someone who looks at words, a speech, whatever. But she was talking about how certain words are just like delicious to our mouths, and that's why they become swear words, like bitch and like cunt and like whatever. And I think gooner, gooning is one of those words, like the way it's said, kind of how I was saying in the beginning. So it makes sense. But okay, taking that in mind, I don't have much research for this besides one YouTube video that I watched, right? So thinking about a gooner as someone who is addicted to porn, someone who is over-sexualizing everything, maybe a little predatory, whatever, we have Kanye. And when we think about Kanye and his relationship to Kim Kardashian, and then also Bianca Censori, and a lot of his music too, his lyrics. So I watched this YouTube video by Ozzy Mendias called Ye's Dark Gooner Misogyny, the Gooner to Alt-Right Pipeline. He pretty much talks about Kanye's porn addiction to the Nazi pipeline and the way that he traces it. Like, it's pretty much like he got mad about some Jewish-owned thing in porn, and then it led him to anti-Semitism, because it's pretty well documented that Kanye is addicted to porn. And if you listen to a lot of his lyrics, like, it shows more and more. And a lot of the things, like, I love this argument, and now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it. Whereas before, I think I used to, like, eat this shit up. But, like, over-sexualized stuff, right? Like a woman's tits on a shirt, like, and tits, like, her done breasts, like plastic surgery breasts, like, that being passed off as art when it's really just like pornography. You know what I'm saying? And I think Kanye does this a lot too, and especially with Bianca, and it's a little bit weird because, like, the power dynamic, and he's like parading her around, and it's like sometimes you want to be like, even her at the Met Gala, which I'll show that video, but it's like, okay, this is empowering, she's naked, like, her body, like, it's out, like, part of me wants to be like, yes, this is cool, and then the other part of me is like, it's not, because she's being pimped. Yeah. You know? So, like, you've got this weird dichotomy going on with Kanye.
Yeah, because I think it's like, yeah, like, women's breasts, like, definitely can be looked at art, but it's like the gaze shit. Like, if he's making it, it's like, it's not the same. Like, it's just not the same, like, literally at all. Like, even if, like, said woman's breasts, or if it was inspired by something, like, and they were down, like, it doesn't matter, because, like, he's a man. So, like, if you and I did something like that,
and
it's
not
different.
just because he's a man. I think it's the way, it's almost
a
like
cis man too. Not just because he's a cis man,
Not just because he's a cis man, but I think it also has to do, like, you know how we talked about exploitation?
Yeah.
And, like, it's weird talking about sex workers and what's exploitation and, like, what's not.
Ugh,
but, like,
so
to
weird.
me, it almost feels like it's, like, he's removing the power from it and objectifying. Like, it's almost like when I think about even porn or, like, sex work, when it's used in art senses, but it's used in the sense to, like, shock and to, like, make people horny versus the sense to make a statement. Like, just because something is taboo does not make it artistic or creative or you're saying anything.
That part.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that
I
part.
think that there is a difference between a woman who is a sex worker and stripper who is doing it in an artistic way or in a way that she cares about the work that she's doing versus in a way of, like, I am a slave to capitalism. Like,
right.
You know?
And I honestly, that's when I was, like, doing OnlyFans, I, like, wanted to, like, channel that, like, artisticness, but I was being a slave to capitalism, like, with the photos I, like, chose to take of myself. Yes. And it's like, it didn't feel good. Like, it's not the same. And I think that's so, like, again, like, might be obvious to some, but for me, you saying that, like, not everything taboo is art just because it is what it is. Just like, it's like, if we write a show about, like, us being strippers when we were 19, that's not enough. Like, it's about our relationship and, like, how we felt and, like, the things we learned about ourselves. It's not just like we want to flash us at the club for, like, and, like, that's, like, a lot of, like, sex work or, like, a lot of sex work films and TV shows, like, are like that. Like, it's not about a statement. It's not about the deeper meanings. It's just like, this is what it is. Like, it's good enough to be art just because it's so taboo.
And because it's bad. Because I even think that, like, because I had a weird relationship with this. Like, you know how I overthink, like, concepts and stuff. But, like, even the name So Wet, So Dry.
That's an understatement. But yes.
Like, yes. But even the name So Wet, So Dry, I was overthinking it for a while.
Yeah, like, is it too sexual?
It's so sexually explicit. Is it just doing that thing where it's just being so, like, it's just different because it's so explicit? But I think when we pull back the layer in the way that we do the podcast, it is very much about women's ability to be wet, both wet and dry during sex, and our complication of not even knowing where we are in between those two things.
Right.
In a
100%.
lot of situations of our lives. So it's like, I do think it's beyond that. But to just tell someone the name, you know, that doesn't go beyond the layer, they will think that. So
they will. And I think, like, the small but mighty community we've built, like, gets
you
it.
guys.
Like, gets it. But yeah, it's like, and we talked about this when we went to Revolt World, like last year or whatever that was. I don't know what time is, but like every time we say so wet, so dry, like it is always like a reaction. And like, of course, like as like a business owner, like that's not a bad thing.
Right.
But like, we're also just like so much fucking more than that. Like that is like,
I know it can get frustrating for us.
It gets frustrating.
But it's like, and you know what's funny? Like, we're on such a tangent, but I was listening to Tana, the Canceled podcast, and they had Camilla on from the Bop House, and they were talking about, because Tana did OnlyFans and Camilla obviously does OnlyFans, and they're talking about how the Bop House is like making it more normal for like women as sex workers to be more than just sex workers. Like, they're making other fun content in the Bop House and da-da-da. And they're like, you know, hope to be like those women. And I feel like we hope to be that. Like, in a lot of ways, Kim Kardashian has done this too in a different way. Like, over-sexualized the fuck out of herself, like had the sex tape, whatever, but then is also a lawyer. Is she taken seriously? Like, I don't know. But that is always a bridge that women are going to have to cross, and it almost feels impossible if you are at all grouped into a category of being sexual, being sex workers, profiting off of your sexuality, being hot. You're not going to be taken seriously in like another way.
Right. You like often never are. Like, ever. It's like that's all you are. And like, it's like the fact that we were sex workers is not the most interesting thing about us. Like, not even close, you know? So it's more of like what we took away from that is where you get the interesting part. But like us just doing, like me just like fucking for money is not the most interesting thing
like
about
anyone.
Me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it was easy, guys.
Yeah,
like I just
like,
did it,
just
got
done.
the money, went
I don't
home.
think about it. Like,
Yeah,
right. Like it was just part of life.
Yeah. We are on the tangent, but to circle it back to Kanye too, it's like the whole like pimp mentality is like what like really like hurts it for me as well. And it's like, how do you like, is it possible for like a woman to be empowered like while she is being pimped out? I personally think yes. I wasn't pimped out, but it was pimp-like. I think it is possible, but I think at the end of the day,
to a point,
it's more empowering without it.
Yes, 100%.
You know,
it's empowering to a point, and then maybe that point ends. Like, I want to. I can't wait until we get a Bianca Censori memoir, book, documentary. I want to know how that woman feels. I want to know Kim's whole side of the story as well. Did you see Kanye just put North on a Diddy song? That's a whole other topic. But anyway.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and she's like mad at him. But anyway, gooning, back to gooning and Kanye. So this is a different meaning, right? Like, this is another YouTube video that I found when I was searching the entire internet for anything related to gooning. We get Kanye. So we asked you guys, because I just genuinely wanted to know, like, how everybody defines it. Do we think that Kanye is a gooner? And 76% of you guys said yes, and 24% said no. So again, like how we're defining it, an overly horny man, a man that's addicted to porn, like a man that's maybe like okay for the exploitation of women, like kind of situation. Yeah. Like that's what we're thinking of as a gooner as well.
Right. Or is it a man alone in a hotel room making a colorful picture on the wall?
Right.
Like which, and I think fleshlight. Yeah, I think it's like interesting, and like words do matter because of like communities, you know? And so is it harmful to like have a loose meaning? And like I think it's harmful the most when it falls under to like the sexual predator thing, where it's like no, like don't take a kink that like can be okay for people that is gonna make it like bad. And like being overly horny is not a bad thing. Like hypersexuality is a thing, and you can't necessarily control that. Like we both feel like we've had like moments of that in our life, and like maybe deal with that a little bit. Like and that's not our fault, like at all. Like just like it's not people's fault when they don't have one. But yeah, Kanye and like the pimping and like it's layered, but at the end of the day, yeah, like whatever. Like he definitely, I mean, 76% said yes. So they're obviously.
So I guess that's another meaning of gooner, and he is. So.
Right, exactly. So our audience knows all.
Right. So this made me, another video that I found when I was looking for gooning content on the internet, or content about gooning, is Are We Living in a Gooner Gotcha Era by the YouTuber E.
Gotcha.
So, gotcha. I thought it was like gotcha, like got
Right,
you there.
gotcha.
But gotcha is a game.
Got it.
This is like, you're a gamer, you're into The Sims. Gotcha
Chill.
is a gaming thing. I'm not going to get into it because I don't know the game very much. But essentially, there was this whole conversation in the gamer community and in this game in particular where there were a lot of women in the new version that were super over-sexualized. And by over-sexualized, like bouncy tits, like bouncy ass, like they had these toy expressions, like whatever. And so it made a big uprising in the gaming community, especially because there's a lot of like women loving women, lesbians that play this game that thought that that thought that she maybe catered to the male gaze too much. Some of these characters, they were like kind of mad about the over sexualization, like all
as
that
they
stuff.
as they should be.
Right. And so this creator was talking about it and essentially said that these women have like no personality, like just butts, and the aim is to get them drooling. Like the gooner bait is what like the whole community was saying. And there was this one character named Yinlin who had big tits and people thought she was incel bait, and so did this creator until she was complaining about it to her mom. And then her mom was like, why does that make her any less of a character just because she has big tits? And so then this character or then this creator was like, okay, and played her, and turns out she had a really interesting storyline. So I thought that was so we have a lot going on.
That's interesting, yeah.
Right. So this is a big thing in the gamer community, like gooner bait, incel bait, like making characters sexual in like games.
Overly.
And that being another connotation of the word gooner, right? Is like these incels, like you need everything to be horny. But I really liked that, and it made me think of the Kanye shit and everything as well, because I feel like Kanye thinks that he needs to over-sexualize women a ton to like make them interesting in the media, and then that also like devoids them of personality. Like Bianca Censori, when have we ever seen her speak? But I'm sure her story would be interesting as fuck. Like I want to hear her story like so fucking much.
Right.
But like exactly, like it's so sad and it's so fucked up to the women and the sex workers and the creators in this space and this gooning content, because it's not just in the gaming community. We're about to talk about Instagram and Instagram models and hot sex workers on Instagram and how much these women are seen as worthless just because they are
bodies.
Appealing to this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and it's like, maybe this is a reach, bitch. Maybe this is a reach.
Okay,
but it makes me think, like, yeah, like, okay, like, you have two video game characters. Like, one has, like, a BBL, like, huge tits, and one's, like, maybe, like, a little bit more, like, chubbier, like, like, whatever. Like, and less, like, and it's like, why is that one? Like, it reminds me of, like, in middle school, yoga pants were banned for all.
Yes.
But if a skinny bitch,
yes,
or I'm sorry, everyone, but an ugly girl wore them, it was fine.
It was
fine.
her body part.
But if you have a bigger ass, like, I literally, you guys, was traumatizing. Like, they sent me to the office and asked me to turn around in front of my male principal because I guess they were, like, see-through a little bit or something.
That is sexual harassment.
I know, bitch. I literally should sue. Like,
did you tell your mom that? Because I feel like your mom would go off.
I know. I honestly don't know. I might have not. Like, back then, I wasn't as, like, I tell my mom everything like I am now. But anyways, like, that's kind of, like, what I'm thinking about. But is that, like, it's somewhere in there. Yeah.
That's in line, definitely. Because exactly, like, obviously, like, these characters in these video games are drawn. They're created. They're maybe created for a male gaze, da-da-da, whatever. But to just look at them at face value and be like, okay, like, we're mad that things are created for the male gaze. Should we be mad about that? But also, should we immediately write them off as characters or as human beings when there's more to that? Like, a woman, that could be her job to post pictures on the internet like that as a sex worker. Does that mean that she's any less of a human being with a storyline or interesting? Like, that was just such an interesting
I think it's
moment.
because, too, it's like people look at women like that have the quote-unquote perfect sexualized body, like in white supremacy, the United States, whatever, that they're like, it's so, like, fantasy and maybe, like, even unachievable for them that it's like they just, it's like they are dehumanizing her as a sex worker. So it's like, yeah, they're not going to think that like, or they don't even like want to think about like who she really is because it's going to like ruin it for them.
Right.
And it's like,
and
that's
the fantasy.
like, she doesn't need a story. She doesn't need a brain. She doesn't need those thoughts because like her body is enough. Like she's serving this one purpose and like, we don't even, it's fucking weird.
Yeah, because the people that look down on pornography and sexual content think that way, but so do a lot of the people that are consuming the pornography and the sexual content and masturbating to her also think that she is devoid of like any personality or storyline or anything like that.
And you have to kind of like check in with yourself too. Like that's one of those like internalized things that like you might not, like you have to like unlearn that, you know?
Yes.
Because, like, watching porn is, like, so weird because I don't want to think about any of those people, like, men, women, fucking whoever, as having, like, you know, these storylines because
that's why I can't watch it. And I feel like that is so Pisces of me, but, like, I cannot watch it because I'm always, like, is she really comfortable? Like, does she really want this? Or
I know,
is she
and, like, the answer
it?
is, like, probably not.
But, like, also she's
But also,
working,
like, I know.
And which is fine. But I also just think of myself at the strip club when I'm like, oh my God, yes, like, haha, like, whatever.
Like, was I really, like,
Right. And I'm like, does she have to be? But, like, performing for a different gaze, whatever. But
it's never going to be perfect. Like the sex work experience is never going to be perfect. Like maybe, there are some times where you don't want to do it, but there's also times where you do, but it's like, we can't even let our minds get there because it's like the industry is fucking, but
that's why I watch the ones in different languages. Yeah. But yeah. So in speaking about, oh wait, we do have a poll. So we asked you guys.
Crazy, bro.
We asked you guys, do video games push gooning content? 67% of you guys said yes. 33% of you guys said no. And I don't really play video games, so I can't really say, but this holds up to be true. And going off of that conversation.
But wait. I'm just like the incel bait. I'm like, are they that weak? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, just like... like, I don't know. Like, it's weird. Like, the incel bait and, like, pushing this content. Like, are they that fragile where, like, they can't handle it? Like, I don't know.
Yes. But that is the next conversation we're going to have is even more on Instagram. Because we all use Instagram, right?
We all
Are they pushing gooning content on Instagram? This is a big conversation happening on TikTok. Again, we have a different interpretation of the word going on here, guys. But we asked you guys, does Instagram push gooning content? And 76% of you guys said yes. Only 24% said no. And we had a listener say social media in general pushed gooning content heavy in capital letters, way too heavy. We had a lot of guys respond to this shit, like listener stories. So I was like, wow, like the men know what's going on with this episode.
I mean,
like,
everyone knew, like it was like 70% knew what it was or like had done it. And so I was shocked.
Yeah, same. So we're going to watch 3 TikToks that are talking more about the social media pushing of gooning content and then more about how boys are socialized, capitalism. We're going to teeter on the lines of patriarchy. I am excited for us to talk about this. So let's watch these 3 TikToks and then we're going to talk about it.
I just watched a video about the Great Gooner conspiracy. That shit is so real. That is the most real conspiracy ever. I don't even think it could be called a conspiracy. They are pushing gooning content to astronomical levels. It's unreal. Searching water in the TikTok search or whatever is just the tip of the iceberg. You cannot make a new account on any social media platform and tell them you're a guy without being immediately force-fed gooner content.
So apparently the Instagram Reels algorithm is constantly pushing gooner content onto young men on Instagram, according to a very popular video on here. And if you were ever wondering why a platform might do this, the answer is pretty simple. Gooning turns you into a good capitalist. Now, I know this sounds like a pretty outrageous and ridiculous thing to say, but it actually makes a lot of sense. Because if you satisfy your sexual desire looking at images on a screen, you're not actually entering into relationships or pursuing other people in the real world. And images on a screen are never really going to cause massive problems to your work life. Whereas if you're trying to enter into relationships, this is going to cause a lot of problems. Now, on the negative side of relationships, the vast majority of them end, especially if you're a young person, and this may impact your work life through depression or just losing a general interest in your life. However, even on the positive side, if you become obsessed with someone and enter into a relationship with them, you may spend more time texting them, more time staying up late at night so you can talk to them, and generally just doing things which have a negative impact on your ability to be as productive as possible. And so there's your answer. Looking at images on a screen is always going to cause less problems to your work life than actually having human relationships, which are always going to be messy, even if they're brilliant. And this isn't supposed to be a video of, oh, whoa, poor young men targeted by society. It's just saying that there's definitely something wrong going with young men and sexualized images on a screen that are having awful effects and really aren't spoken about to young men. Or at least they weren't when I was being given sexual education at secondary school.
Okay, so I saw this TikTok about the Gooner pipeline that was basically just saying that like conservative media is like pushing young boys on this pipeline that starts exposing them to like explicit content about women's bodies at a young age, and then that leads them to seeing women like sex objects and then feeling owed sexual favors from women and then behaving in like dehumanizing and violent ways towards women and learning to hate them and not respect them. And this is all definitely happening and it's bad, but I feel like there's more to the story that nobody really ever talks about. Conservative media is not the only thing that is spreading this narrative that in order for men to be worthy or valid, they need to fuck bitches. Like sex appeal and like sexual success is a metric that is used to judge not only men, but like low-key everybody, and not only in conservative media, but like low-key everywhere. There's a pervasive societal idea that like men who can't get laid are like sad and pathetic people, and there's something there that like makes us want to point and laugh. And like when these men who can't get laid are like young boys who are socially awkward and they decide to start hating women and saying like a bunch of stupid shit because they're so sexually frustrated and they feel so slighted by the fact that like societal metrics of success like make them look like failures. Like, yes, the irony of it is kind of funny that like the reason why these people are in these gooner places is because they don't respect women, and to be honest, like just being a normal person like would get them a lot further. Like the irony is kind of funny, and like in situations where like we as women like feel threatened by the way that men are behaving towards us, like I understand the urge to laugh.
Okay, so obviously a lot going on here. Okay,
Yes.
So in the first TikTok, men are force-fed gooner content. And I feel like similar, like everyone's force-fed things. Like women are force-fed like insecurity, beauty products, like all that shit. And like my whole thing is like, okay, like Instagram's a business, right? Like we live in like a capitalistic society. Like is Instagram like really to blame for the fact that like pornography and like over sexualized women and like hatred towards women is being force fed towards men? No. Would it be great if someone at Instagram could step up and want to change the world? Yeah. But I'm not really feeling like, you know what I mean? Like,
But
I get
doesn't
it.
it remind you? It reminded
Of
me
the
immediately.
blaming the algorithm
Yes!
content. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Like this is
Should
a
we
manifestation.
blame the algorithms? No, like
It's
it's
a manifestation
just
of the
reality.
patriarchy.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's like it tells us actually it's a tool as to what's going on. Like why specifically is gooning content being force fed like now, right now, and like that can give us insight and like all that shit. But the whole thing versus like the real world versus images on screen, like we were talking about off camera, like I personally have a hard time like finding like, you know, labeling porn addiction, sex addiction, and all these things as like really, really bad, detrimental, completely 100% full
Yeah.
stop, end of story, because like I'm like on my own journey and I'm like really trying to like look at sex as like a positive thing, and like no, like porn isn't bad, and like I really try to like tell myself that. But I think like this helped me understand it's like if you're only engaging like in this pornography space and not in the real life, like that is definitely a problem.
Yes.
And like, you know, people like incels, gooners, it's like they feel so like comfortable in where they're at. Like with gooning, it's like you like know what's going to happen. You plan it. You go to this location. You have all your tools. It's predictable. Like you're doing it. But human relationships in the real world are not predictable. They're scary. And like if you're so comfortable in this like pornography space and like that's how you get off and like gooning is your time, it's like that it's going to be even harder for you to like really be in a like human relationship when you're so like clouded by that.
Yeah, and a lot of them are doing this as a last resort because they're incels, so they're involuntarily
Right.
celibate, just like Chad, the one that we talked about. Like, he's a virgin. He's involuntarily celibate. Like, he doesn't want to be. It's not voluntary. So, like, because of that, he wants to have, like, sex satisfied and ends up in this pipeline of, like, gooning. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
And
It's a
he
little
shouldn't
bit
be
sad.
shamed for like trying to satisfy himself. Like if you like, you know, aren't asexual and like want to fuck, like you're like, yeah, like if you're can't fuck anyone, like definitely fuck yourself. Like go off.
Right.
Like you need that, like that release of energy. But like I just think it's like a scary place to be in. Like your first time like being intimate, like maybe like shouldn't, like no shoulds with sex, but like you want to experience like sex with another person like in different ways than just pornography. Like
but that's what's sad is that like these people
I do feel bad.
They did initially want it with a person, then they end up in these alt-right pipelines, these like gooning. And then how do they get out of it? That's where I'm like at. Is like it's sad as fuck, but like how do they leave it? You know?
Right. And no one's like calling attention to that enough or like giving anyone tools on how to get out of it. And it's like it's even like with the election. Like a lot of people are coming out and being like, I feel bad that like I voted for Trump and like
and everyone's like, fuck you.
Yeah, and it's like it is like fuck you. You know what I mean?
It is.
Like, but it's like it's that same sort of thing where it's like how do you get out of that? Like what's the like of going from the alt-right to like going to like, somewhere in the middle?
But I want to be like the people that voted for Trump and are changing sides. It's like fuck you, but also like no, please come
because we fucking
to our side
need you.
Because we need you and we need it to change.
Exactly. And it's the same with men. It's like please don't hate us. Like we need you. Like but like you know like it's hard for me to say that like me personally, guys. But like I'm sure a lot of you can say that with your full chest, and like I'm gonna get there someday for sure. But then just this whole note too on like to be worthy, you need to fuck women.
Yes,
like, sex
I
makes
wrote
you
that down
superior, and it's like of like how we view sex. Like how is it so many things at once? Like we hate it, we love it, we're addicted to it, we're shamed about it, but it also like makes you superior. Like it's like young boys hating women because they're so sexually frustrated, like societal metrics of sex, like that really stood out to me. And it's like, these are all things we know, but it's like the importance of them is like essential because it's like, I always say like, oh, let's just let all the fucked up people die out. You know what I mean? But it's like, they're never going to die out because like, this is how people are growing up and it's just getting worse. And like, yeah.
Yeah. And it's so crazy. Like, I don't know why I just thought about like on the men's side of things in this incel culture, like this gooner culture, like, and even how they have these goon caves and they like, because even the Healthy Gamer was talking about how they track things. Like, you know, they try to like increase their threshold, whatever. And maybe it's because like boys are socialized to be more logical, more mathematical, whatever. But everything is so in numbers. Like everything is so like rate yourself. Like how much are you worth? Like all of that kind of thing that it's just like, it's like that is not like living.
Yeah.
And it's like
black and white too. It's like
right.
That,
like
that's
your
it.
worth. Yeah, your worth is in how many women are attracted to you rather than finding a relationship that like hits on what you really want
it's like,
or need.
Yeah, like your worth is in women who are attracted to you and then you also like treat them like shit. Like it's just like a really weird fucking thing. And like I don't know. Like and I think like I think one of the TikToks was like rather than going in these alt-right pipelines, it's like, why don't you guys just like try to work on yourselves? Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe that would be better. But it's like, I think they're like so like constrained by like, or what's the word? Like by everything going on that they like the shackles of monogamy.
Of patriarchy.
Yeah.
It's of patriarchy.
Not
it's
monogamy, guys. Not monogamy. I'm so sorry. Yes. Thank you.
It's the psychological patriarchy inside of themselves. And then if you get into any of these chat rooms or you're like, because think about like
because you
middle
find
school
community
boys.
And you're like, oh shit, this is the first time like
there's other people like me that want to have sex and are virgins but like haven't, and then like we can compete with each other for this like gooning content, or I can just be by myself and masturbate a ton and like have all these hot collectible porn women but not like women in the real world. And like
I know.
I don't know.
It's really dangerous and it's hard. And like I empathize honestly so fucking much. Like I really do. And it's like even in the TikTok where it's like people that like are virgins, it's like something within us makes us want to like point at them and laugh. Yeah. But like honestly, when I meet a virgin, I'm like, dude, how's your life?
I had one
because I'm like, is it better than
And this is why it's sad, because I had a manager at a restaurant that I worked at when I first moved to Atlanta that was a virgin. He was like 36 years old, and we all made fun of him. And that's like, but also we made fun of him because he said he would never eat pussy, which is such a like virgin thing to say. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel bad about it now because I'm like, that is a guy that could end up in these like room. But he was also someone that like could have had sex if he wanted to. It was like religious.
No, but that's
reasons.
so valid, babe. And I think we've all had inner thoughts about that,
Yes,
too. Like, whether
you
you
know?
said it out loud or not. Like, that's, like, a thought. Like, we are conditioned to, like, look at virgins like they're, like, stupid and, like, you
and,
know?
like, ew, like,
and,
what
like,
is going on?
worthless and-
But it is
yeah.
sad. And I think, like I'm actually listening to the audio book right now, Men Who Hate Women, which is all about like incels and the manosphere and the manosphere pipeline or whatever. But it's helping me develop more empathy. And in the last year, everything that we've talked about with the gender wars is like, I do have genuine empathy for these incels. And every time I've gotten on live on TikTok, me and Autumn have been going live recently, and it's like they're alive and present in the comments, and they piss me off because it'll be things like my bra size or turn around, clap that, like just weird shit that you don't say to another human being, but it's them like replicating what they've seen on the internet in like spaces that isn't real. And it's like, I just have to remember, like, I don't know. Like,
yeah,
you know what
and
I'm
it's
saying?
like, guys, it's like developing empathy for men is not like to become a men's apologist and excuse their bad behavior. Like, the reason that like we strive to like channel that empathy is because like, especially as like white women, like it is like it's like our civic, like our duty.
Well,
to do
and
that.
a good portion of the men in incels, like I watched an interview recently, is non-white men and neurodivergent men, because in the hierarchy of like what incels consider attractive, whiteness is one of those things by European standards. So there are a lot of Black, brown, and Asian men that are incels. It's just we don't always think about that because there's obviously like a lot of like white incel men who have become the most violent.
Right.
But there's a lot more sad
And
Black,
that's
brown,
clock
Asian
it.
incel men who are non-violent, who are in this because they feel unworthy, unlovable, etc., don't reach the quality of masculinity that society
But
has
it's like
seen.
the violence like clouds everyone to like not feel empathy. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like, obviously you shouldn't feel empathy for like a predator
a
and
school
like
shooter.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
But it's like, even I think about it so deep though. I'm like,
But
a
even
predator,
you
like
could.
were they abused too? Like,
Right. And at the end of the day, we want to have empathy so that we can try to get to the root of the problem and figure out, like, you know, why are these things happening? And I don't believe in like fighting hate with more hate. Like, yeah, you need to stand up for yourself, and yeah, you need to like set boundaries and all of those things. But also, like, I do think there's a lot of ways incels are deeply misunderstood, and I think they are confused about the patriarchy and the ways that it's actually the patriarchy that is hurting them.
Yeah.
Just like it hurts us as well. So
Yeah.
But yeah, that
and
was
I
like,
think like just another note on that too. It's like we say like we hate men, like not us specifically, but people. But it's like, what do you really mean when you say that? Because like I kind of mean like cis white men, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and you know, it's like a man is a man for
and
sure.
think about what that means and how that
And, like, how
reinforces
whiteness-
patriarchy.
And
because
that's
the
what I'm
only way you're seeing a man is a straight white man.
Right. And it's like you think of incel and it's like the white violent men, but like what you're saying, like there's so many others that like aren't violent and like maybe do deserve a little bit more empathy as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, great point, bitch. Great point. But yeah, I think that about does it for this. Well, no, we have to do our wets and dries. All right, we're gonna,
Bitch, why are you so
wrap up
eager?
the episode with what we're wet, dry, and still a little bit confused about the topic.
So yes, I will start us off. I'm definitely so wet about the beginning of the episode. Like, I love to hear like examples from like real people that are like brave enough to share and like all that shit, like because of how taboo it is, you know? And I think like I really liked learning about that definition.
Yes.
And when we got into like the TikTok stuff and like the Kanye and like the Gen Z and like the story
Goonicide.
of the predator and the suicide,
Yep.
it's like, okay, like it was like giving like wholesome to me, honestly. Like I think it's like so like cool to like make it a whole thing
Yes.
and like prioritize your masturbation, like aside from it being addicting and like not being able to like communicate with humans too. Like I think it's fucking cool, and I think it's great that like men do that to help themselves. It's better than being a sexual predator. Like
Right.
they're not harming anyone but maybe themselves with the negative side effects of porn. But I do believe that like in moderation, like porn is not a bad thing, like end all be all. It's really not. Like it's okay. There's a lot of like great amateur content out there. Like I've seen like a bunch of straight couples, like I've followed, like, you know what I mean? It's like I don't know their relationship, so I guess, but yeah, super wet about that. Wet about clocking the algorithm thing again, because I think like it's such a like cop out to just like blame Instagram. And like we like on this podcast, we're like guilty of that. Like honestly, like last year, it's like your relationship isn't safe on Instagram, but it's like, no, like we are not doing relationships correctly.
Like
the
it's
humans,
us,
like
accountability.
it's not. Yeah, because it's like at the end of the day, like Instagram is a business. Like algorithms are like, yes, there's people behind it, but it's also just like robots, and they're like
it's mathematics,
taking
like,
into like what's going on
it's
and like
logic,
going so accordingly, you know, like it's like it really is like a powerful tool to like give you information about the state of like the fucking world and like what's going on. But like I'm not saying Instagram's a great thing. Like I think to a degree, like all businesses in this country are like a little bit evil. Like it's just that's how it is in a capitalistic society. So what about clocking that? And I am like wet about the little science like section of it all, because I think like the whole like, you know, what your body like does sexually and like your tolerance and like how much activity you need to like be fully pleasured is like definitely something that like interests me a lot. Like especially as someone that's like had a lot of sex, you know, like I'm always thinking like, well, what's next? Like, you know, so it's interesting, but yeah.
Yeah, no, honestly, echo everything you said, especially the first part. I love learning about a new kink. I feel like I develop more empathy, more love, more appreciation, and just like interest in the sex world in general every time we cover a new kink, because it's like, wow, there's so much out there. And I do think it is really wholesome. I mean, I think men and women, cis men and women face very different challenges in our society. Cis heterosexual men and women face very different challenges in our society. And let me not even say cis heterosexual. Women or people who are socialized as women, guys. I'm going down this fucking road.
No, it's so real though.
Like, I'm trying to find the right words to like what I'm saying. But people who I think are socialized as women and in women's bodies, pleasuring yourself and your relationship to your body is something that is so taboo. And so like finding your relationship to masturbating, orgasm, all of that, it gives me appreciation for men like Chad in the beginning of the episode who treat himself. He takes himself on a fucking date, okay, on that work hotel room. He sets his layout up. He puts the porn posters on the wall. He puts the fleshlight next to himself. He takes a shower. He does his whole thing. And that is what a lot of sex therapists and therapists will tell women to do with, you know, sex toys replaced, but same, shower, lotion, nice smelling perfumes, put on an audiobook, put on like the porn and use your vibrator. But it's seen differently when it's men and women, right? So I think like women can take a lot and like we can learn from men in that scenario, but obviously like it can go down a dark path. So I'm very wet about learning about Chad and his whole kink. I think I'm wet about everything else you said. Last thing I think that I'm wet about is the whole gaming situation. I know that that was a tangent that wasn't really completely related to gooning, but I really liked how the creator admitted that her initial idea of like this gooning bait was that like, oh, this is gooning bait, like male gaze, like these female characters don't mean anything. And then it was her mom that was like, okay, but she can still have a personality. And I like that whole flipping of everything. And I think that I'll talk about that more in a Bop House episode that I plan to do next after Autumn's episode next week. So we'll touch on that more later, but very, very wet about that. Like I honestly felt like including that section was like forcing it, but I just love that like anecdote so much that I had to.
No, that's what it's all about, bitch. I love it.
Right, exactly. So what about that?
For dry, I feel like, I mean, definitely the driest part of it all, like, was that like TikTok that went viral of like the man that committed a
The
crime,
Goonicide, yeah.
the Goonicide, and then commit suicide, and like the whole thing. Like it's just so layered. Like suicide is like obviously like such an insanely like heartbreaking, like devastating thing to happen regardless.
Yeah.
But I just think like, I don't know. Like that was like definitely a sex crime, and I just like don't think that should be excused. And like, why is no one talking about like if the like employee was like okay, and like if she's getting therapy for that?
Right.
Because that's like literally insane. And like to say like he was a father, like I don't know. Like you know what I
Yes.
mean? Like
Had he not committed suicide, this whole train of like media would be very odd.
yeah, and I just think again, like the whole like TikTok will just kind of like take like words and like it's like different meaning. It's like that game Telephone when you play when you're a kid and you like
Yep.
whisper and then it changes. Like that is literally what happens because like everyone has like different takes and then it depends on what algorithm you're in, and that's like most likely the opinion you're gonna have because it's like
yeah.
recollection or like whatever recollection,
Yes.
bro. Fuck. But yeah, like that was like definitely the driest part of the episode for me, like 100%. And yeah, I don't know. Like I do, like it does make me like feel like sad. Like I feel like as much as like I used to like really believe that like we could be fine without men, like all that, like freeze their sperm and just like it's good. Like I just like think that like it's such a disservice like to not like consider them, that like patriarchy like has harmed them and does harm them in different ways. And like does it affect them systemically as much? No, but like it does like harm them a lot. And like I
Yeah.
want to like, and so I'm glad that like I'm like feeling more empathy because I used to literally not care at all.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
really different now. And I just think like, especially like I like do like maybe want to have kids one day. Like what if I have a fucking son? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I like will care about him. So it's just like I don't know. And I just think like also the other driest part is like the whole like idea of like incel bait and just like even like being force fed gooning content. Like I just feel so weird about it. Because part of me is like, well, you're in that algorithm for a reason. Like, what are your
Yes.
Google searches? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like my Google searches and like my weird shit pops up on my For You page. And I'm like, well, they clocked me. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm giving them what they need to clock me by using my phone every single day and like doing all this shit. So I don't know. The incel bait is just like weird because like I know a lot of incels are violent and like horrible human beings, but like the ones that aren't, like it's like bait. Like it is kind of dehumanizing in a way. And again, I know a lot of incels dehumanize women. I'm not saying they're good people, but it's just like a weird thing. It's like horror bait. Like if you see a dick and she's like, like it's just
Yeah.
weird. Yeah. So yeah, dry about that.
Yeah, honestly, same. I'm definitely dry about the whole patriarchy aspect of things because it's like when we think about the patriarchy and what I think a lot of both men and women refuse to remember a lot of times when we talk about the patriarchy and how it affects men is that it is the patriarchy, you know, benefits cis, heterosexual, white, wealthy, attractive by European beauty standards, sexually viable, educated men. It is still like a small sector of men, and it is not all men. And incels do not fall into that category. And so when we talk about patriarchy, even though those men become a lot of the most women-hating men, it is because they're trying to appeal to the patriarchy in this weird, fucked up way where they're self-hating. And then they're like, they're blaming the wrong people. Like I in the book that I was reading, that's like Men Who Hate Women, it was talking about how they love the Matrix. And the Matrix was created by like 2 transgender people or something like that. Like,
yeah.
And it's about like the trans experience. Like they're just so far off that it's insane. And that's why it's insane that it has caught wind like this much. But yeah, I'm dry about it, but also like want to keep developing empathy for them. I'm definitely dry as fuck about Kanye, guys. Like I am someone who likes Kanye's music. Like remember
How could I
the
forget?
Quick fuck. I like a quick fuck.
I like it. I love it. Whatever.
I
that
love
shit
it. Yeah, which
Yeah.
is honestly like maybe a gooner
And
song.
even like my freshman year roommate, like she put me on to like his album that has like the orange cover.
and
like,
my freshman year roommate loved him too. I
like
never
yeah,
loved him
she
like
put
that.
me on. And
I
I was
went to
like,
his
wait,
concert with
Kanye's
her.
like, oh my
Yeah.
god. Yeah.
I did love his music and
Me
still like his
too.
music a lot and like still appreciate him as an artist, but not everything he creates as an artist is the particularly like, you know, like
Yeah.
that video, I really liked. It was short. I almost wish he went more in depth, but it was like a very interesting take and he broke down some of his lyrics and stuff like that too. But
That's cool.
dry about that. I'm still waiting on the Bianca Censori fucking story.
Documentary,
Yeah, documentary, like bitch what. And then lastly, just dry about the effects of porn addiction because I think it is really sad and it's not talked about the most. I am
At
convinced
all.
that I did date a guy that had a porn addiction because I saw him take a dick pill. Or like I found the rapper, he had a hard time getting hard at a certain point. He was like giving like gooning vibes, like, and you know, it's fine. Like he could have said something to me. I already liked him at that point. Like,
Right.
I didn't care.
And you're
I am
literally
who I
so
am.
not judgmental.
I have this podcast. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Sex
like,
is
I've had
not
guys,
always sexy like all the time.
Right,
Like, sometimes you gotta.
And I've had a good amount of guys get like erectile dysfunction around me, guys, which I used to think was a personal fault. But I have
no.
since learned that it's performance anxiety,
Yeah.
or it's porn addiction or something else.
It's
and I
never
think
the woman's
it's
fault.
never
bitch.
the woman's
Like,
fault. But I think more women and men would benefit from it because men will blame women as well, and like all of that.
Yeah,
sort
and
of
they're
thing. So, like,
lying.
yeah, I wish that porn addiction was talked about more, the effects of it, because I think if more men knew that your dick might not work,
Right.
if you become porn addicted, then they might, you know,
And then
veer
it's like you
against
get
it.
addicted and it's too late. But it's like,
Yes.
what if you knew about the effects and you were like, I don't know. Like, I know it's hard. It's like you know about the effects of fucking drugs and we still do it.
like your lungs and cigarettes, but
Right. And like, does that stop us? No.
No.
But yeah, no, like the educate, it's just because like no one wants to talk about it. Like they think
Yeah.
it's going to like poison the young boys'
The youth.
minds, but like then they have to go to answers with people that are going to harm them, like these right alt pipelines, like Andrew Tate. Like that is literally the blueprint of what's going on.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean that to go into confused, like that whole thing, like it, I mean, I'm not really confused about it. Like I feel like I get it. Like I get what's going on and it makes me really sad, but the biggest thing I'm confused about is definitely like, again, like the porn addiction thing. Like what? Like, cause I just like, I want to like look at sex as like so many different things, as like it can be really wholesome, but it also can be like dark, and like that's okay. Like it's supposed to be, because it's like
nuanced.
it's something like special and like connection and like energy and like all that shit. And like, I don't know, like it just like makes me like sad. I feel like people like, and it's like, okay, like porn addiction, but it's like people blame porn, like we shouldn't have porn. But again, it just brings me back to, it's like, no, we just need education around these things,
Right.
because we shouldn't feel shame about like watching two other people fuck. Like at the end of the day, like that's literally all it is. Like, I mean, I've watched some like dark shit and like, yeah, like I've talked about it in therapy, but like at the end of the day, like your average porn video, or just watching people have sex, like it's no big deal. Like it's literally no big deal. And so I don't know, but it's so addicting for so many reasons, and just like the mental health crisis, like all this shit. And it's like, what are we really doing? Like, what can I do? Like, what can we do to like help these young boys? Because I do think they need a voice from men.
Yes.
Because of the state of what,
like the
we're
healthy
in.
gamer, that was a good one.
Right. And it's like the pedagogy of oppressed too, where it's like there is like, it falls on us as well. But I think of the state of like sexism and everything, it's like they're not gonna listen, because they're
Right.
already being brainwashed to hate us and just look at us like they can fuck us. And
Yeah, more men need to step up for fucking real.
right. And it's like a lot of men are, like, for sure, but it's like definitely not enough. And it's not
Yeah.
even like step up and like make a YouTube video or a TikTok. It's like have conversations like with your
In
friends.
community. Yes.
Right. Like that interpersonal shit. Like speak up about shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Second, everything you said, like same, like how do we help it? How do we change it? I think about the same. If I don't know if I want kids, but if I ever do, if I have a son, how would I protect him? How would I have these conversations with him? If he has a father, how would I like want his father to go about these conversations? Like what should, his mother care about versus his father? Like,
right.
And
or even just
and
like
whatever.
a young man that you mentor one day,
Right.
like a friend. Like it's like there
or
are
even
men.
our listeners, young men that are listeners. Say we have 18-year-old
Are you guys there?
men,
Are you guys listening?
Listeners, like yeah. Sometimes we forget that like we have an audience. What the fuck?
Yeah, I feel like I'm just with you.
Yeah, right, exactly. But yeah, definitely confused about that. And I think the last thing I'm confused about is the meaning of the fucking word. Like, as we said,
Bro,
words
yes, I
change,
should
the
have said
meaning
that too, yeah.
changes. We
What
don't
does it
fucking know.
mean?
But is the gooner community upset that the word has changed in this way? And also,
Yes.
is all gooning bad? Because even though like it has this connotation to like, reaching the threshold and going too far, does it always have to be that far? Because like losing yourself and the facial expressions and the grunting noises and all of that sounds like a good thing and sounds like fine. So I'm a little bit confused about the meaning of the word, where we are, what gooning means today to Gen Z, to us. I feel like I'm never going to be able to use it as just meaning excited because I'm going to think about Chad.
Bro, same. Fuck no. I feel like Chad is gooning.
Chad is the gooner.
And like the sexual predator is like, you guys are just
he's not.
like
Bikini
what?
Bean
Like
Man,
that is so confusing.
that is a predator who committed suicide.
like
I'm
what
sorry,
are you guys talking about?
He's a mental health crisis predator that committed suicide.
Right.
He is not a gooner.
Prayers with his family and also to the ones he harmed in
Yes.
the making.
Yeah.
The fuck? Okay, no.
Period.
Yeah, okay. Well, that about does it for this episode, guys. Let us know what you thought in the comments below on YouTube or Spotify. You can also subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Spotify or Apple, and rate us on Spotify or Apple. We would love if you guys could do that. Make sure you follow us on Instagram as well, at So Wet So Dry. The O's are always zeros, because we post polls every single week, and we would love to hear from you guys what you think about episodes, topic suggestions. So feel free to connect with us there, and also on TikTok. We are trying to be more active on there, posting, going live, all that shit. So follow us there too.
Yes, we also have listener support. It's $9.99, $4.99, or 99 cents a month. It is in the bottom of the description of every single episode, no matter what platform you guys are listening on, but it is through Spotify. And we love you guys so much. We will catch you in the next episode. Bye.
Carolina's downfall was preordained. Let's talk about it. I'm sure what happened here is a producer went up to Grant and was like, hey, do you notice Carolina's kind of sitting by herself? Maybe you should go talk to her. Other girls are having fun, playing their games. Like, don't worry about them. Go check on her. She's upset. So he checks on her. He's doing what he thinks the good bachelor would do, which is to try to like lift someone up. Game of Roses would call what she's doing playing an IFI. When you have an injury, a fear, or an illness that causes you to have to spend more alone time with the bachelor, they would probably see this as like a good play. Because the producers know that once she's seated far away with Grant having their own time, regardless of whether they're having a positive interaction or if she's crying the whole time, the main goal is just to get the other women to see this, especially Dina, because them all being there to witness it leads to this. If Grant doesn't pull her aside, they don't get conflict for this portion of the episode. She probably would have continued being negative, but we probably just would have seen more of the women say to each other like, oh, Carolina's being annoying again, instead of actually confronting her directly.